General Douglas MacArthur, an icon of military brilliance, a man whose name is etched in the history books, but did you know there's a darker side to his leadership? Today we're uncovering the shocking truths about MacArthur that history conveniently left out. This isn't the MacArthur you've been taught to admire. Get ready to discover a side of him you've never seen before. General Douglas MacArthur is widely celebrated as one of the greatest military strategists of the 20th century. He led U.S. forces to victory in the Pacific during World War II, famously saying, "I shall return," and fulfilling that promise with one of the most dramatic comebacks in military history. But here's the thing. There's a side to MacArthur that's been hidden from the public eye. Behind his polished image and legendary status, his leadership had a darker side. So what's the real story? Let's pull back the curtain and reveal the truths that history conveniently overlooked. MacArthur was a brilliant tactician, no doubt, but his brilliance often came at a steep personal cost. MacArthur craved glory. His desire to be seen as the ultimate hero sometimes led him to make decisions that put his own reputation above the lives of his soldiers. Take, for instance, the invasion of the Philippines, a mission he insisted on leading despite the advice of his military advisors. There were warnings that the operation could be disastrous, that it was far too risky, but MacArthur, who was obsessed with his own image and his promise to return, pushed ahead. His ego-driven decisions led to unnecessary losses. Thousands of soldiers paid the price for MacArthur's thirst for glory. This wasn't an isolated incident. MacArthur often made choices not based on military strategy, but on what would make him look like the hero, and in doing so, he sometimes sacrificed the lives of those he was supposed to protect. But MacArthur's quest for glory didn't stop on the battlefield. It extended all the way to the halls of power in Washington, D.C., when President Harry Truman and the Joint Chiefs of Staff were working to contain the Korean War. MacArthur had a very different idea. He defied orders, publicly criticized Truman's strategy, and even suggested expanding the war into China. Worse, MacArthur advocated for the use of nuclear weapons, a dangerous move that could have escalated the conflict into a global catastrophe. MacArthur was more than willing to go against his own government to follow his vision, even if it meant pushing the world to the brink of a nuclear war. Truman, seeing MacArthur's insubordination as a threat to global peace, had no choice but to relieve him of his command. The decision shocked the nation, but it also revealed a darker truth about MacArthur. He was more loyal to his own ambitions than to his country's long-term well-being. After World War II, MacArthur was put in charge of rebuilding Japan. He was hailed as a hero for his role in reconstructing the country and transforming it into a peaceful democracy. But one controversial decision has continued to haunt his legacy: his choice to protect Emperor Hirohito. Despite being the figurehead of Japan's militaristic expansion, Hirohito was never held accountable for his role in the war. Instead, MacArthur made a strategic decision to keep Hirohito on the throne. While this move helped stabilize Japan, it allowed war criminals to evade justice. This wasn't about justice, it was about stability. MacArthur's decision to spare the emperor from war crimes trials was one of the darkest moments of his career. He was willing to sacrifice accountability for the sake of a smoother post-war recovery. The emperor's role in Japan's war crimes was swept under the rug, and the very people responsible for atrocities went unpunished. MacArthur's strategic brilliance is legendary, but it was also ruthlessly aggressive. Sometimes too aggressive. His military tactics were daring and effective, but they often came with a heavy cost. Take the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle of World War II. While MacArthur's forces ultimately triumphed, the battle was seen by many as unnecessarily risky. MacArthur, in his pursuit of victory, launched a campaign that put thousands of lives on the line. His actions raised serious questions about whether his hunger for victory outweighed the value of the human lives it cost. MacArthur was willing to take extreme risks to achieve glory, even if those risks could have been avoided. Was his strategic brilliance truly the key to victory, or was it a dangerous game of ego-driven warfare? The public saw MacArthur as a charismatic, heroic figure, but behind the scenes he was ruthless in his leadership. He ran his military operations with an iron fist, often dismissing the advice of his subordinates and punishing anyone who dared to challenge him.